Alrighty, we are here. It's the Beat the Buzzer podcast. So I am Noah, avid Cavs fan. I like to let them know.
I'm Eric. I'm a big time New York Knicks fan.
I'm Xander. I also let him know. Big Cavs guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alrighty, yeah. So some topics we're gonna get into today. Obviously, basketball. We're all pretty big basketball fans. So we'll be kind of going over with the season. Coming into full swing. We're almost getting into a third of the way into the season here. We're getting close to that part mark. So we're going to go over kind of the offseason acquisitions since the season is still fresh and kind of some free agent stuff that happened. Then we're going to further dive in to like the start of the season. So obviously, Cavs starting 15 and 0. That's been a great thing to see. And obviously with Eric, the Knicks made some acquisitions and have some big title hopes this year. Then we'll kind of wrap it up with our Eastern Conference preview and how we think the season's going to shake out. So yeah, first topic we got on deck here. It's going to be that Clay trade that happened. Obviously one of the larger trades of this offseason. So just kind of some overview stats. Clay was a key piece to the Warriors championships. And as of last season, Clay averaged 18, 3 boards, 2 assists, and shot 43% from the field with 38% from three. If you guys kind of want to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, obviously, the Mavericks had a lot of success themselves last year. So them going out and getting a big time wing acquisition, to kind of pair them on offense with guys that like Luca and Kyrie that can really go get their own bucket. I think it's a really good fit, and time will tell. But yeah, I think it's a really great fit for him.
Yeah, man, it's really weird seeing him in a Mavericks uniform. Like growing up watching him play for the Warriors. Great, one of the greatest shooters ever. I'd say top five easily. But yeah, if the Mavs get something going with him and they figure out how they're gonna use him and what rotations they're gonna put him in with the rest of the guys, he could be a dangerous player like he always has been.
Yeah, and obviously, towards the end of Klay Thompson's time with the Warriors, it just kind of it was getting to the point where it just wasn't going to work out for him, and it was a much needed shift for both parties there. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely some animosity growing between the two sides. And what's crazy is that was actually the largest deal in history team wise, with being a six-teamer. So the next topic, one of Eric's liking, obviously. So the Knicks both trade for Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, two big moves for them this summer.
yeah, start with the Bridges trade. Felt like the Knicks kind of overpaid for him. However, when you're in a position to go win a championship, I'm glad that our front office is you know willing to attack that situation. As for Karl Anthony Towns, it's really tough to watch guys like Julius Randle and DiVincenzo leave the organization, but you have to go get a guy like Karl Anthony Towns if you want to try and win a championship. You got to try and match up with the Celtics. Yeah, I really love both moves, and time will tell. Depth's an issue right now, but time will tell again. So.
Yeah, I think DiVincenzo leaving. I mean, that is unfortunate for the Knicks. I mean, but you gotta get rid of him if you're gonna get pieces like they did get. And ultimately, I was afraid watching him last year in the playoffs. They were playing really well. I didn't want to see Eric happy. So, but it's pretty cool, and they should be one of the top three teams of the East easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, yeah, big loss in DiVincenzo. He was, a player that he played a lot. Hit a lot of threes for the Knicks. But they are bringing in a guy like Bridges. DPOY candidate. Been great. Plays a lot of games, which I know Thibodeau likes. So yeah. Next topic. So kind of one of the last big trades of the summer. DeRozan gets traded to the Kings. And kind of, diving into Harrison Barnes goes to the Spurs to be a mentor, along with Chris Paul, who's signed there as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch more on the Spurs part of this than the Kings part of this. Chris Paul going to the Spurs is really big when you got a guy like Wemby. You got one of the greatest point guards of all time, one of the highest guys on the assist leaderboard, and Chris Paul to come alongside, one of the rarest talents we've ever seen in NBA history. I think that's incredible, and I think it's really going to do a lot for Wemby as he kind of grows in his career, trying to figure out how the NBA really works for him. So.
Yeah, I guess I'll touch on the Kings part of this. I mean, the Kings picking up DeMar DeRozan. I mean, putting a guy on any team like that, he can hold his own. He can get a bucket anytime. I think the Kings are doing very well right now, and it's pretty cool to see DeMar kind of leading a team, hitting his shots, and yeah, they got a cool culture out there going on right now, lighting the beam, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, one last tidbit. Bronny obviously getting drafted to the Lakers. 51st overall. Pretty big this offseason. Big talking point. Joins LeBron. Obviously, first father-son duo to take the court together. Nice, pretty cool moment to see. So now kind of transitioning. So we got more like in season, early season kind of storylines. So kind of some things to touch on. Obviously Lonzo returns to action for the first time in about 1,000 days. It's pretty cool to see. They kind of maybe touching on the Bucks and 76ers struggles as supposed to be contenders.
Yeah, really cool to see Lonzo back. I remember watching him in college a lot, and then obviously getting drafted to the Lakers, playing a couple of years there, Pelicans as well. But yeah, really good to see him back. It was kind of tough to watch him out for so long. As for the Bucks and the Sixers, like I remember preseason, a lot of people were like, "Oh wow, the Sixers are top three team. They're a powerhouse. Like they have a chance to win a championship, and they've won two games so far. So, really interesting to see. Also, like the Bucks, the depth's an issue, just kind of like the Knicks, but the Knicks are still winning their games. So, um, obviously, both teams dealing with some injuries, but yeah, it's not a good look for either of them right now.
Yeah, look for the Bucks to be in trade conversations coming into the trade deadline. Whether that's Damian Lillard going somewhere or they're pairing someone with Giannis, or the other way. I mean, they could get rid of Giannis and pick up another big piece, but they're looking to be sellers at the trade deadline. The best spot that the best thing that the 76ers have going on for him right now is Jared McCain. I think by no doubt he's going to be the rookie of the year. I mean, he's hooping right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, so far, Maxi's out with a hamstring injury. Kane's been averaging, 15, 2 and 2 on pretty good shooting splits, 48% from the field. He looked great against the Cavs the other night. Knicks as well. He got some significant time and really helped that 76er squad look good. It'll definitely be interesting to see how PG works in. Obviously, he's kind of been a little slow to start the season. Yeah, then going on to the main topic, I would say, kind of a 2016 flashback here. We see Cavs, Celtics, Warriors, and Thunder all atop the standings. Very 2016-esque when, almost, what I consider the golden era of basketball since we've been alive. It's a really fun time. Even Eric, had Melo on the Knicks, so I'm sure that was a really fun time for him as well. If you guys kind of want to dive into, start for those teams and just elaborate on that.
Yeah, I'm guessing Xander's going to want to talk about the Cavs, so I'll kind of leave that to him. But, Celtics, even though they're not number one in the East right now, they're still looking incredible. They look like they're picking up right where they left off by winning an NBA championship. Um, Thunder looks solid. They're struggling on the with the injury side a little bit. I know Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein are both out, so they're trying to kind of play without a center at the moment. But they're still right atop the leaderboard doing their thing. And Warriors look like the Warriors of old, and that's a really cool thing to see. Curry's playing out of his mind once again. I think the Olympics might have gave him a little boost to kind of bring it back a little bit this season. So.
Yeah, I'd love to see another Warriors Cavs finals. I mean, why not? Let's run it back. But I was just talking to Noah about this the other day. Like, I don't know the last time we've seen a Cavs team play this good. I mean, it's like an absolute switch from coach to coach. We switch our coach and new coach. We look like a whole different team. We're scoring points like we never did last year. I mean, I think we've like doubled the amount of games that we scored, like 130 plus already. You see big jumps. Darius Garland, he's hooping. He's shooting over 50%, and then it's like 40% from three, which is crazy. And he's not turning the ball over as much. I mean, obviously a big leap with Evan Mobley too. It's like he looks like the guy that we expected to get when we drafted him, like early in his career. So it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously, the Cavs. Important to note, they have a new coach. Like they have Kenny Atkinson has not lost a game as their head coach. And another thing I wanted to touch on real quick is the NBA Cup matchup between Curry and Clay, where Clay kind of got back to the Bay Area for the first time wearing another jersey. He commented on it that it was just really weird. kind of having to deal with Curry on the other side of the ball. So, yeah, but honestly, it's really impressive that Kenny Atkinson is doing this well so early.
Yeah, yeah, definitely been great to see. Obviously, Cavs fan, can't ask for a better start. So, if you guys maybe want to dive a little more into some of the Cavs start, obviously, it's the second best start ever. Tied for behind that 73-9 Warriors start when they were 24-0. And then maybe touch a little bit on the Celtics still dominating and being like a title favorite. I have seen the media really touching on that. So,
Yeah, I can take the Cavs on that. I mean, the Cavs are the 14 to start 15-0. I mean, that being the Warriors in 2016, Rockets in 94, and then I believe was the Capitals in 1949. Um, this is also the biggest winning streak in Cavs history, like not beginning of the season, just winning streak in general. So that's pretty awesome to see. Um, last year they were they are this year they are first in point differential at 12.3. They lead the league in points scored per 100 possessions, whereas last year they were 16th in that category. And they also lead the league in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, which is those are just some dominating offensive stats. So you don't see that very often. Even with the 15-0 team, like it's clear that they have done something differently this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd also note like Jared Allen's playing out of his mind, like double double machine, as when we were talking earlier, you mentioned. I think they have a complete team right now. They're looking primed to make a run. Obviously, it's early in the season, so like I've been saying, time will tell with a lot of these storylines. As for the Celtics, they looked obviously they won an NBA championship convincingly last year. There was no one standing in their way. They still look that good this year. They have all their pieces back, signed a lot of big extensions, signed Tatum and Brown to extensions. So, um, as soon as they get Porzingis back, I think they're just going to be a tough team to beat. But yeah, like I said, time will tell. So.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, those are definitely two of the big squads in the East, and now kind of going into another two teams that are definitely going to challenge them. Obviously, the Magic have looked great to start the year. Paolo, I think has been hurt as of recent, but going into them, and then obviously the Knicks. Eric, if you want to touch on that, how they look to start the year.
Yeah, I'll touch on the Knicks. You know, I think they look okay. I think New York fans are a little harsh on the team. They expect big things, obviously. Overall, the Knicks' depth has been tested so far. Mitchell Robinson is still out with he had surgery this summer. Precious Achiuwa is still out with a sprained ankle, I believe. And really you're playing guys that you've never heard of coming off the bench, and that's a big issue. I believe the Knicks are the lowest scoring bench team in the league right now, and they're like ninth or something for total points scored. So like that's kind of a big testament to like how much the starters are playing. It's causing an issue a little bit. But yeah, they're kind of just looking to. I think over time this team will gel together and they'll be the team that we saw of late last year. I just think it's going to take some time. And although Knicks fans don't want to hear we got to have patience with it. So.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting to see the Magic have a young core that are playing well in the East, which the East is obviously weaker this year. It usually is weaker, but this year especially. I like to see Caldwell Pope playing well for him. He's always been a hooper. I've always said this. Like he's a great ball player. Um, it's very unfortunate that Boncaro got injured so early. Like we are seeing some really big numbers from him, and like he's obviously going to be a big star in the future. Um, yeah, so we'll see what the Magic can if they can hold this. I don't think they will, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I would say the two, biggest teams to challenge both those Celtics and Cavs teams. That's a big, I'd say, core four right now with the Bucks and 76ers struggling. So lastly, maybe if we just want to touch on kind of like the Pistons, they've made a really big leap this year so far and kind of give a little wrap up on how we think the, Eastern Conference might shake out this year.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Last year the Pistons won 17 games total, and this year they've already won seven. They're a game under 500. And they look good. Like Tobias Harris, they acquired him in the offseason. Cade Cunningham looks really solid. They have a couple other pieces around him that are just they're gelling way better than last year, and it's kind of it doesn't hurt to watch them anymore, which is good. As for how I think the East is going to wrap up, personally, I think it's kind of going to be a battle between Cavs, Celtics, Knicks atop of the leaderboard. who knows which one will be where, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, some pretty sweet City Connect uniforms they just released, so yeah, pretty dope.
Yep, I agree with everything there. Obviously, hopefully, I hope the Cavs come out on top, but time will tell. And I definitely think those Cavs, Celtics, Knicks are going to be battling for the no 1 seed and getting out of the Eastern Conference. I think the Magic may be just a little too young. But yeah, it's going to be a great season and great talking with you guys about basketball today.